Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today is Monday, which means it's time for an episode of Loadout, the series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick a gun and customization for me to use. The way you do this is you leave a comment in the comment section letting me know what kind of weapon and configuration you'd like me to run with, and I will pick one of the top rated comments for the next episode. Today's top comment comes from Brownie Kuma 72. He says, the Jesse James Outlaw, 44 Magnum, no attachments, Scout, Elite, Iron Sight, Straight Pull, no other attachments, M67 frag, Bowie knife, no gadgets, shadow perk. You are now one of the roughest, toughest, and most wanted cowboys in the Old West. Use your Colt Revolver 44 Magnum as your primary, and for long-range combat, use your Winchester Repeater Scout Elite. If you need to clear the path, use your trusty Dynamite M67 frag, should do the trick. And for those who have their backs turned, pull out your swift Bowie knife and take him out quietly. This is one of my favorite loadouts that my friends and I play for fun, and I hope you enjoy it too. And I'll admit, I've seen this loadout comment before. In fact, it gets upvoted very high almost every single time it gets posted. So I decided to finally bite the bullet, play this one. I was avoiding it because it has no tactical value whatsoever. Scout Elite with no attachments is a difficult gun to use. Magnum with no attachments, again, is a difficult gun to use because of that trigger delay. Battlefield 3 Magnum, no attachments, great gun, love that pistol. Unfortunately, Battlefield 4 things have changed up enough to the point where Magnum is now one of the most difficult pistols to use. Certainly it's a rewarding feeling when you get those one-shot headshots in close quarters, but it's rare when it happens, and it's very hard to get good at it. Now, the entertaining part of this loadout is when you get into close quarter combat, you start hitting those Magnum headshots, maybe getting some hip fires with the Scout Elite there. It looks very cool, but rarely are you going to go through more than just a few opponents like this. I had a hard time getting more than 2 kills in a single life. Now, it took a while to gather enough footage together to actually show you some decent kill streaks, but this loadout is crazy hard to use. Close quarters, you're screwed. You're absolutely screwed. If you miss any shots in close quarters, you're dead, game over. You just can't miss, otherwise your opponent is going to have more than enough time to take you out before you can put any follow-up shots down range. Both your weapons, both your primary and secondary, have very, very slow rates of fire. They do high damage, but again, there's so little tolerance for missed shots, bad accuracy, that you're just not going to survive long enough to make a follow-up shot in most situations. You'll notice here that I'm trying to take advantage of the high ground. I'm not going to be able to beat my opponents in outright gunfights. I just don't have the kind of firepower to sustain longer firefights, so I really have to snipe them from up above or take advantage of when they don't know where I am. That is honestly the best way to run this loadout. Just try and be campy, try and stay high up, try and shoot at your opponents when they don't know where you are or where you're shooting from. Constantly looking at the minimap, trying to prevent people from sneaking up on you. You have to make sure you're ready for your opponents. If anybody has even a split-second advantage on you, it's pretty much game over. There's a lot of guns in the game that you can come back from that. Full auto, AEKs, stuff like that will definitely allow you to come back from somebody who surprises you, but these guns, the Magnum and the Scout Elite, just are not designed for that. They are designed for the player that has the initiative. Now, this spot in Rogue Transmission Team Deathmatch is actually a great spot in the game. As you move around this tower, you can basically adapt to how the map is shifting around. If power is moving to one side of the map or the other side of the map, you can use this tower in the center as cover, and as long as you're using that mini-map, you can usually prevent people from sneaking up on you. If you have a tugs, although not part of this loadout, that can also be extremely helpful, and I find I go on some of my best campy kill streaks while hiding in this particular area. Now, if you're concerned about your stats and your gun accuracy, using iron sights on any bolt-action sniper rifle is not recommended. It is a really cool feeling though when you do land those headshots at extreme long range. It does sort of give you a feeling like you are in the Wild West, because for the most part, long-range weapons didn't really have any sort of optics on it. It was iron sights all the way. So you can imagine that long-range shooting really did require a finesse, and it's something that I imagine that a lot of modern-day shooters don't really get a taste for, because honestly, it's not that expensive to get a decent 4x or 8x optic, stick it on your rifle, and there you go. You don't have to really worry about crazy iron sight optics for long-range shooting. Now, as for using the Magnum primary, I did do that when the range did dictates it. So anything close quarters or where I expect I'm going to see somebody close quarters, out comes the Magnum. Soon as we get to medium range though, then comes the Scout Elite. Part of this is because the Scout Elite doesn't have that trigger delay, so it's actually easier to hit your shots with it, even though it has a longer fire time in between shots. If you can land a headshot or even a good body shot, the damage on the Scout Elite is still pretty substantial. And the cool thing about this gun is that it does have the highest rate of fire for any of the bolt action sniper rifles. So it's going to allow you to put down follow-up shots at least 63 rounds per minute. So that's more than a shot per second, just barely. It's not going to give you a lot of leeway, but certainly if you're going to use any sort of bolt action sniper rifle for medium range, the Scout Elite seems to be the optimal choice. And lastly, we have a little bit of Magnum trolling here on Operation Locker, a perfect place to actually use the Magnum, although you don't want to get cornered into those long range firefights on Locker, because that is where full auto weapons just take you down. Everybody knows where everybody else is hiding, and that is not where you want to be. You need some sort of element of surprise to make this work. So I have to bide my time a lot with this loadout, wait for my teammates to go in first, try and follow in behind them, not take the brunt of the attack. And as you'll see here, I am getting a little bit lucky with my headshots here. If my opponents were just a little bit faster, a little bit more on their toes, they would take me out. And there we go. Get a kill trade with the Magnum, which I gotta say is somewhat impressive. And surprisingly, I managed to finish out a round in first place. That certainly didn't happen every game, and I gotta say, if you equip this loadout thinking that you're always gonna have fun, sometimes you're just gonna get completely wrecked, especially if you're up against good competition. This is a difficult loadout to use. I'll admit I had some fun in certain rounds, but I was also raging in other ones. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave your comments down below for next week's episode, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.